What's up? What's up? Happy Wednesday night. I feel like it is DJ AP in the house. I'm not a DJ, but I feel like I should be after that intro. That was tight. What's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. I'm your girl, Elisa Purifico, and this is Matchmaker Live. We are breaking up your very nail-biting election coverage to talk about dating. Obviously, we need to be talking about dating because wouldn't we much rather be talking about getting laid than the election? I don't need to put up a poll for everybody to raise their hand and say yes. Sorry, Dad. Sorry. But anyway, I'm not sorry because we're going to have a fabulous time. What do we do on this show? For if you're new, if you're here and you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So this is Matchmaker Live, and what's super fun about our show is I bring on all of my awesome dating professional expert friends who know everything there is to know about dating and love and relationships, and they answer all your questions and help you figure out how to make it unsuck, right? How to make everything suck less, right? And that's what dating and our goal is all really it's about. That's what it's about. And we're going to get to it a little bit. And to help me talk about that a little bit later, I'm going to bring her on, is literally my twinsy soul. Her name's Elisa Del Castillo. She's amazing. Look at her. I'm so obsessed with her. But literally, not because her name's amazing, obviously, but she and I, the energies, if we are conscience, she'd be the little halo and I'm the little devil, and together we give you all the goodies. Anyway, we have too much fun. So she's going to come on a little later and we're going to chat. But in the meantime, you and I are going to have a little one-on-one. We're going to have a little chat. And we're going to get down to the core of what's going on and why you're here. Because the reality is, it's a messy time right now. And if you're watching tonight, it's because maybe you're struggling finding someone on the internet. No, here we go. Yeah, go ahead. Bring that up. You're in the right place. Here's the reality. You're in the right place. If you're spending more time a little bit unknowingly talking to bots online instead of real humans, right? I don't think a lot of people like to admit this because it's a little bit embarrassing, right? Like nobody likes to be a grown human and actually admit the fact that maybe they've been interacting with a scammer or a bot, because that kind of sucks and you feel like I should have known better. But hey, this is real. And I got to tell you, I talk to people all day and this happens to more of you than not. Or maybe you're just wondering where all the normal people are on the internet, which is most of us, right? I mean, I think our president helps us understand that. And then the last but not least, you've been dating online with minimal success and you're over it. Okay, so let's just say you're online, it sucks, you haven't had a merry time, and you want to fix it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to chat. And like I said, I'll bring Elisa on a little bit later, and we're going to get we're going to have an unfiltered lady fireside chat here about how you can just get a whole lot better at online dating, and it can be better for you. Okay, but first question I have for you guys is, are you dating online? And if not, why not? And I know I've asked this question before, and I've asked it in different ways. But guys, I have so many questions about this. If you're dating online, okay, if you are dating online, I got to know where. What platform and what capacity. Are you on social media? Are you using apps? Like, are you on social media, Facebook dating? Are you on apps like Tinder, Bumble? Do you not have a strategy? Have you even thought about it? I need to know answers to these questions. You need to know answers to these questions. You need to know that you don't know the answers to these questions. Yes? Okay, cool. So if you're not dating online, you gotta tell me why. We're in the middle of a pandemic. It's 2020. I gotta know what your expectation or plan is for how you're gonna get out there. Please, I would love to know. Not for judgment, because I'm genuinely curious. Okay. And then my other question for you is okay, and these are the dating apps. So I want to know which dating apps and websites do you use and why? And even if it's as simple as Tinder, Bumble, my friend recommended it, or I saw it on the thing, I saw it online, that's fine. But I want to know why. Like, is there a method? Or were you instinctual about it? Because, and we've talked about this before, you guys, the biggest problem with all of these things is that people of not like intentions are playing in the same pool, right? So here's the problem, right? As we have figured out, which we'll dive into more shortly. But if you guys are online, then you could be talking to somebody that is either totally there for something casual or is there looking for something real, but you'll never know until you dig further. So there's all these elements in between. And so how do you figure that out? How do you differentiate those things? How do you differentiate who is who? What do you look for without making it your full-time job, right? So these are all sorts of things we're gonna chat a little bit about. But before we dive into that part, I think the bigger question that I want you guys to ask yourself is, when you're looking at an online profile, like, what is it that you're looking for? Like, ask yourself this question. And listen, dare I say, have you asked yourself this question? Like, have you thought to yourself, okay, I'm opening Bumble. Where's my phone? Here we go. I'm opening Bumble. Let me do it. Here I am swiping. Like, do you know what it is you judge on a profile? And say it out loud. Like, do you know what it is you look at? Do you look at eyes? Do you look at name? Do you judge the verbiage? Do you judge all of it, right? And take note, because that's important. And that is contributing to either your unsuccess or your success online, success in general. Things to keep in mind. So, what are these things that we look for, right? And do we know what those things are? And so once we've kind of figured out that notion, you really want to think about, I think your natural thought is like, well, I just think about what sucks about online dating, like what makes me the most disappointed, right? So that's exactly what I need. That's my question for you. What is your biggest disappointment with online dating, right? Because that just falls right into it. You're like, well, the fact that it takes a ton of time, the fact that nobody told me I wouldn't find a relationship right away or in general, or that it was going to be this hairy. And so all of those things, right? We would all agree with those things, that these are not things that help us navigate dating or feel better about it. And think about it. You only have so many times that you can expectedly go out with the wrong person, right? So what does that mean here? It's like, if you're going out on a ton of dates and you just feel like this sucks, or or not even dates, you're just like talking to random people and you're like, this sucks, this isn't going anywhere, this isn't what I want, then what are you doing? What's the difference there, right? Expectation, right? And you guys have heard me say this a ton, and my girl E is going to dive in a little bit more into it. But you guys, you've heard me talk about, we compare our love lives. You have to bring it up to the level of either how you're treating your health and your wealth and your job, right? Because if you've got a job, you've got a gig, right? You're interviewing, you're studying, you've got your resume, you're doing the thing, you're hitting the pavement. You're not like randomly hoping your dream job smacks you in the face randomly on the street. You're also, if you're out of shape, or your health needs some attention, you're also not eating a McDonald's hamburger every day hoping that you're going to have 6-pack abs and your cholesterol is going to be low, right? No, you're eating right, you're working out, you're studying, and you're pushing through those things even without all the knowledge of how it's going to totally benefit you. Wouldn't you agree? Would you agree that in your job sometimes that you do things, you study things, you're like kind of pushing through, you do things you don't want to do, but you have to do in order to get the thing, or try to lose the weight or get the body, you have to push things or do things or understand things in ways that you didn't want to do. So with relationships, if we're talking about finding the most important relationship literally in your entire life, why would you think it would just hit you in the face? Or why do you think it'd be so easy to just land on somebody randomly on an app, right? Now, you're a smart human. I know it's not something you're like, logically, you're like, well, Elisa, when you put it that way, I know this. But sometimes we have to say it out loud, or we always have to say it out loud, because this is the problem, my friends. And this is how we help you navigate your life online. So when you understand who it is you're interacting with and on what level and what it takes for you to actually get to that quality person you're looking for, when you actually realize that you are looking for a quality person, and the reason you're striking out so much online is because you're actually utilizing maybe the wrong method, Now we're starting to get some answers, right? But that's what the show is for, to give you answers, right? Not just to hear me blab. All right. But anyway, without further ado, because I'm tired of hearing myself talk and I want to hear her talk because she's amazing. Let's bring on my girl, my home slice, my amazing queen of the castle, Miss Elisa Del Castillo. There she is. What's up, girl?
Hey, girl. Introduction.
Girl. I feel like, you know what's funny though about this? So guys, Elisa and I used to work together and I think she can attest to this. Like, I don't think I've ever not like said your name that way when I've seen you. Like, I just always feel like I just always feel like you needed it.
The warmest welcoming ever. And I was going to say, like, I'm sure you guys will pick up on this, but we've known each other forever. And like our chemistry, like we get it. I'm excited for you guys.
Oh my God. I know, guys, we might forget you're here. So if we do, just let us know. There. No, but I love this. And I'm so excited because what's so cool about you is that you are, well, to give a little background on you, and then I want you to tell everybody more about you, but just to give you even more of an intro, Elisa is a senior matchmaker at 3-Day Rule. They're an amazing matchmaking company. They know what's up. And matchmaking, for those of you who haven't heard that since Fiddler on the Roof, no, obviously not a bunch of grannies. Clearly, he ain't nobody's granny.
Matchmakers.
That's right. Really just sisters on the street, like knowing what's up, getting you that real stuff. But anyway, she knows what's up. And she's also got the keenest eye for really understanding like what's important to know online, how to save your time, like how to save time, like not wasting it a ton in the wrong place online. And it's so important. And you just help people save so much of their time. And I think when they're dating and they don't know what to do, like, you know, it's one thing to feel embarrassed, nothing to waste their time. So I love that you, my love, are going to explain this. And so, yeah, go ahead, tell us a little bit more. Feel free to, did I miss anything about you? Anything else we tell us about you before we dive into the questions, or did I?
Yeah, I think you did a great job with that introduction. I mean, like Elisa mentioned, we're both Elisa. I am a senior matchmaker with 3-Day Rule, and we're an exclusive matchmaking company. So I work with clients one-on-one who are intentional about dating and they're looking for the real deal. And honestly, they're over everything else. They want that curated approach to really finding somebody who's on the same page as them and somebody who they can have things in common with and they can have fun with and laugh with and just kind of, you know, connect all those dots, which make a great relationship. So I'm excited.
Bada bing, bada boom. See, guys, we're done. I love it. Yeah. Okay. So, but for everybody that's like, okay, great. That sounds awesome. What do you guys know? Who are you? What's a matchmaker? Like, what makes you an expert? Right. So tell us a little bit about like, what's the deal in terms of why does dating in general just feel so straight up difficult? Like, no matter how you're doing it, like why, in your opinion, do you feel like dating in general is just super difficult?
Yeah. It's crazy that they don't teach us that in school, right? Like we learn so many things in school that we like actually don't take away with us into real life. And when you think about dating and finding a partner, there's really no how to do this. Like you learn with trial and error, meeting people and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And sometimes, especially just like the time that we're living in right now and the paradox of choice, we meet so many people that I don't necessarily think it's making dating easier or better. I think it's just making it more confusing. So really, dating can feel like a second job, 100%. And in a lot of ways, I think you should approach it that way. But really, just because we have so many options and we're searching for something so special, things get really confusing. So it's like we always think that we're just meeting someone who is like, okay, but they're not the best that I can get. So we're moving on to the next person. And we're not doing what like our parents or our grandparents, or maybe even what you did when you first started dating would do. And that's actually taking the time to really get to know someone and, you know, figuring out what you like about them before you kind of just ride them off. And it's different. Like we're totally living in different times and dating feels like a second job, but there are ways to be good at it. You just got to strategize.
There's so many things to unpack there. Oh my gosh. You just start talking. I'm like, oh, I just fall in love with you all over again. So no, but here's the thing too. It's true though. And here's so many layers, because you said something too about one, like really there's so many options online and I think that rolls us nicely into our second question, which was like what should singles expect like online? Like I think you're really touching on really what the core issue is, which is like, okay, there's swiping and then they're upset. So like is it like their frame of mind? Like what's their frame of mind going into any of these things? Is that really where the problem's starting? Or like where, maybe they're going and not even approaching it with the depth it needs, with the time it needs, with the approach it needs. So yeah, what do you think, in your opinion? Should singles, be expecting when they dive into online dating?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of just like hit the nail on the head. I think that the first expectation is expect to put in work. If you go on a dating app and you think that you're going to find the love of your life overnight, tomorrow, or that you're just going to get an email saying like, this is the profile, click on it, make the introduction and you're in, absolutely not. Like, it's just not going to happen that way. I think that that's really where people get so frustrated. They're like putting this energy into it, and it's not the lack of energy, it's just the way that it's being used. And I have so many clients come to me who are just so over the dating apps and online dating. And I think that it's great to be on them if you're intentional and like ready for something real, but you got to strategize. So absolutely expect to make at least 2 dating profiles. So like one on a website, one on an app on your phone. So having both of those and just being able to kind of like check both of them. Expect to get a lot, like expect to see a ton of different options, and expect to get tired of seeing options and like go through 20 different profiles. I would say out of like 20 profiles that are sent to you via email, maybe half of them you'll actually connect with. Half of that half you'll actually go on a date with. So in reality, there's a lot on there, but the actual number of people that you're going to meet and connect with is very small. So like be very strategic about things. Expect to get messaged by people who are not necessarily the best fit for you. Expect to ghost and get ghosted. And it's not because anything happened, it's just the reality of things. And also check your expectations a little bit. Like check your judgment and the way that you're coming across as, like what exactly are you looking for? And are you judging people right away? Because chances are if you judge people right away, they're doing it to you too. And be a lot more open if you're already putting yourself out there intentionally and trying to date successfully on a dating app.
Yes. And here's an interesting, we don't have this question, but you said something. How can somebody like check their own judgment? Like, cause I think that's an interesting concept where you're like, your expectations, but I think that's a weird thing. Cause like, we think our expectations are not that weird because we're like, so how do we check ourselves? Like, what can we do? Like, what can people do to check themselves?
Yeah, actually, something I really like to do with clients, especially if they come to me and their expectations seem a little bit like skewed. I'm just like, wait. I cannot build you the perfect person. Like we focus on a certain amount of qualities because we know that these are the most important qualities, and you don't come to a matchmaking service, you don't go online dating and build your person from scratch. That's setting yourself up for failure and for disappointment, honestly. So what I suggest doing first, get a piece of paper, fold it in half, write down the qualities that you want in someone, make it a nice, beautiful quality list, like feel really good about it, open it up. Can you mirror those qualities in yourself? And if you can actually say that everything that you're looking for in a person is exactly what you have to offer, bravo, amazing. That means that you're dating with actual qualities that you feel like someone can go ahead and bring to the table because you bring those things to the table. And also have conversations with friends. If you talk to someone and you're like, or a conversation with a matchmaker, we're happy to kind of check those expectations real quick too, but have a conversation with someone and say like, I'm looking for, all of these things. Like, do you feel like I am a really honest person? Do you feel like I communicate really well? And if, I think sometimes your friends and your family are your best mirrors. They can be like, actually, no, like take that off because you don't need it. So definitely like be realistic with your expectations. If not, you're going to be searching forever. And that's not a fun way to live either.
No, that is totally legit. I mean, by the way, I love that exercise. It's so easy. That's so easy.
Yeah. You should see faces sometimes. They're like, oh, no. I'm like, you see? They're like, you have to be real. You just have to be real. It doesn't mean that you need to settle. You just have to be real.
Right. And again, I think the realization of the weight of what you need to bring to the table in order to receive that realization is almost like it's a clarity moment, right? It's like, oh,
super.
It's been so hard.
Yeah. It's very aha. I can't tell you the number of times that I take meetings with people and I always ask, like, have you ever met with a matchmaker before? And more likely than not, they're like, no. I'm like, great. Well, this is what this is going to look like. And by the end of the meeting, they're like, that was really fun. Like, it was so refreshing to be able to talk about these things, because chances are you probably don't talk that much to your friends about your dating life and all of that. So it's like, you're kind of getting it all out there. And I think that just makes you date a lot more intentionally.
And also, like, they haven't been asked, right? Oh, there's our little princess. There she is.
I have to keep her up here. Not she'll like.
No, she's her spotlight. Listen, our puppies know. They know when, like, they're like, listen, they're been cooped up too.
Listens to more dating conversations than, like, I'm sure a lot of humans. She could probably chime in.
She's gonna be the puppy matchmaker. She's ready to rock. We digress. But it's true, the sense of that people aren't, but like the other categories that we talked about, like with your health and with your job, chances are somebody has asked you these questions in some capacity, like your doctor with your health, or obviously you've been asked questions for your job because you need to make money, but you don't always get asked love questions on a level that you need to be in order to be self-reflective. So that is a really great way to get the answers you need right away. It's like, yeah, number one, do that exercise. That's amazing. And then number two, ask your immediate friends, because your bestie, your mama, they'll tell you right away.
They're that mirror whether you like it or not.
I love that.
But if not, honestly, a matchmaker will do it. Like, we will have a conversation with you and say, this is what the dating landscape looks like. And even though you've been dating for years, we will tell you the truth, because there's no point in taking on a client or working with somebody whose unrealistic expectations are going to drive us crazy. And I enjoy my sleep. So
yes, girl. Yes. Oh, I love it. Preach, sister. I love that. No, and I know too, even sometimes, like, you talk to your client, like your client's friends yourself too. Like when your clients hire you, like, you'll talk to and I love, like, all the different, you get so much more depth and context from those, from that, because you're talking to the bestie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Okay. So let's go back to the expectations thing. In terms of, like, when someone's dating, because, whether you're a guy or a girl, they obsess, right? Everybody obsesses before they go on a date about different things. What is the info that you need to know about your date before you meet? Like, what's the essential info I need to know about my date before I meet them? What do I need to know?
This is a tricky question. And it's really because there is a very fine line between looking out for your safety and stalking. And I think it's really easy to kind of get those lines a little bit twisted. So there are things that we definitely should know in advance. And honestly, if you're bold and you want to ask more, go ahead and ask more. But I would suggest asking. And that is, are they employed? Definitely. Have they been married before? Do they have kids? Are you guys on the same page when it comes to religion? How about politics? Are you looking for the same things? And there are a lot of things that you can already pick up from someone's profile, and it doesn't hurt to ask. That's what people just don't do these days. And it's actually authentically get to know someone in real life and get the answers to questions that you want to know the answers to. We assume a ton in dating. And that's how we get to a place where we just are like, you know what? He's not giving me the intention that I need. He's not communicating well, or she's not communicating well. And I think it's time to move forward. But no one was born for you in a perfect way where they know exactly the way that you function, the way that you work. So you know how someone knows how you like to be communicated with? When you tell them, when you communicate it to them, which is just like the craziest thing. Also, similar interests, things like that are all important. And those are things that you find out once you actually get to know someone.
Yes, sister. Mic drops everywhere. Seriously. Yes, girl. But it's so true. And it just, and I think, and not for nothing, I know we're poking fun. And I think, but at the core of it, I think what people really need to understand is that, and you started it by saying they don't teach this enough in school. It's like, we're not taught to fail in the relationship department. We're just not taught. It's cool we're not taught. It's actually, not only is it okay that you should expect to fail a lot, in the relationship department. And not failure in terms of like, oh, you suck and it didn't work. Failure as in like the person that you met is not going to be the person you fall in love with and marry. And that's not a fail. Yes, it failed in the sense you didn't marry this person, but it not a failure in the sense that it was like terrible. So it's like again, the expectations, and it's like practice with anything else. So it's like you really look at it a different way and it can be totally different. And I love that you putting it in such easy forms to understand and comprehend, and it's just so easy, right?
This is date school here.
Yes,
we're teaching like what we should have known a long time ago.
Yes, we are the date teachers y'all wish you had. Okay. Yeah. Fun. I love that so much. Okay, so I love what you said. There's a difference between stalking and there's a difference between getting the real info that you need. What about the other side of the coin? Like, so what is the info that we cross the line that is just not essential? Like, no matter how much you're like think it's important to you before you meet somebody, like you need to back off because it doesn't matter. What's that info?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So honestly, you don't need to know so many things before you go out with someone. You don't need to know all of these things where you sit down with this person and you just can't even have a conversation because you know everything. So it's like, their answers. That's not fun. If you find yourself on Google page 50 and their ex's mom's name, where they vacationed last year, how many times they baked banana bread during a quarantine, get out. Like, that's the rabbit hole. You got to get out of there. Like, those are not things that you need to know. So really things that I think that people should stay away from. She wants the spotlight now.
Girl.
Oh my God, it's so crazy. You do not need to know before you meet why their last relationship ended. You don't need to know like what kind of car they drive, what kind of house they live in. Their exact financial situation is not that important. You don't need to know their day-to-day schedule. And I think that this is such a tricky thing because it's like if you're communicating with someone and they're not getting back to you right away, don't you want to be with somebody who has something that they're excited about or passionate about or like have a full-time job? They're probably not going to be on their phone all the time. And to people's defense, they're like, I do, and I'm on my phone all the time. You're on your phone now because you really want to receive a text message from someone. So you're waiting and you're putting this whole relationship underneath a magnifying glass. And that's not a way to set yourself up for success in any type of situation. And also just like love languages and sexual preferences, like those things that are just very like you find out all those things as you get to know someone. So those are not essential things where you need to dig in so deep because it doesn't matter until you get to know someone.
And that is so perfect. I think you nailed it too. Like you also don't get to know those things without meeting someone. Those are delicate details. Like you don't.
100%. And I think on a first date, like there are definitely things that you should really try to pick up on a first date. So like body language and kind of how that's going. Also just the way that your date treats like servers and like wait staff, like those type of things are super important. The way they talk about the relationships in their life. So like their friends and their family. And obviously if you guys have common interests and like similar values and goals, those are all things that are super important. So don't confuse the things that are like really not that they're shiny. They distract you from the things that really matter to the things that actually do matter.
Yeah, no, and that's so helpful. And girl, yes. I mean, it's just helpful because so many problems are being solved just by asking the right questions. I mean, you kind of have to be like a journalist. It's like you're being a journalist for your own love life, but not in interrogating way, but really in a way of like asking what matters in that sense, and that you're saving yourself time and you're saving yourself, but picking the right people. But I think with the real key here that you're nailing and then really helping people understand is that you can't, if you're not cutting yourself enough slack in terms of how long it's going to take for you to hit that trifecta and how many times you got to go around the rosy, then you're setting not only yourself up for disappointment, but anybody you meet. Like it's like you're just not cutting anybody any slack, and that's just like no fun.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I connect with so many people who are just so over dating, and I understand that like you come to a matchmaker, for example, because you are like you're ready to do something different. But just because you come to someone doesn't mean that everything is going to change. There's a certain amount of work that you have to do on yourself, and you have to be in a place to really understand like, hey, I'm going to meet someone and put in the work it takes, and I'm not going to be married tomorrow. Like, I'm just not. Like, I have to be willing to understand that, like, relationships take compromise. They take actually really getting to know each other. And a lot of people really mistake, like, the feeling of meeting somebody and it just like, oh my gosh, like, we're in love already. Like, I slept over his place and like we've been on 10 dates in a week and like we love each other so much. And that's the kind of relationship I would say run away. Because the first time we get a crush, it kind of just like slaps you over the face, right? Like, you're probably in kindergarten, and it's so out there that that's the type of romantic relationship that we chase for the rest of our lives. And the reality is, yes, when you find the right person, you're going to have it, but it's not going to be right away. It's going to be the type of love that grows, and it gets better over time. So if you meet somebody and instantaneously that chemistry is there and like it's lust and you guys are just like can't keep each other's hands off of each other, that is not the recipe for a long-lasting, healthy relationship. And I cannot preach it enough. The slow burn is so important. So don't get those two things twisted. Like, if you meet someone, you go on a first date, you laugh, you feel some attraction, and you have good conversation, see it through, give it a go, because it can just get better from there. And if, after 4 dates, it just doesn't work, 3 dates, fine. But at least you're practicing and you know what works and what doesn't, so that by the time you meet the right person, like, you're good to go. Like, it'll work out.
Yes, sister. Amen. And it's funny too, because it's like, girlfriend, if that feeling came in a day, it can go in a day. So it's not.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want the long haul? And that's what it's kind of like, how did it come to you? How did it, like you're saying, like, how did you put the groundwork? And it's always like, even our successes, it's like the stuff that we work for, man, you feel that so much more than the stuff that was given to you, right? Or that just randomly happened to you.
Yeah, 100%. It's just so much. Yeah, it's so much more meaningful. And like, that is what true love and a long-lasting relationship, the foundation of it is like working and being each other's partners and finding good balance and like being able to really be with someone that you're comfortable with because you've had the chance to really get to know them. And that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't. Yeah. And I think even that thought really resonating with people, it's like, guys, really think, it's like, yes, you're alone, but just because you decided you don't want to be alone doesn't mean that you need to alleviate that pain right away. It just means you're going to start working on it and it'll be worth it in the end. But you got to set your own expectations and not, go looking for food when you're starving. It's like, all right, I got to hungry in a few hours.
Yeah, it was a great analogy. I love that.
I'm all about those metaphors. I'm like, what can I compare this to?
Okay.
How can I possibly explain this more?
Well, this is school. Take it down to its purest form and really just like lay down the groundwork. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's what I like to do on this show, and I like to blow dating up a little bit, because I think people like everybody likes to think they're an expert at it. It's like, but here's the thing, like, people are just people. It's relationships. It's like, everybody is failing everywhere. Like, everyone's figuring it out. Like, everybody's figuring out the right person for them. And so don't, if you can take that chip off your shoulder that you should be in a certain place at a certain point, or you should be next, that sort of idea, then you're in so much of a better position to actually get something real, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, but it's like, you should approach dating the way that you do anything else that's actually really important, like strategize, have a plan, know the way that you want to approach things. And you know what? Chances are that plan's not going to go exactly 100% the way that you want it to, but it's similar to a job interview. Like, maybe you'll go on 100 before you find the one that actually really, is your dream job and it works out. But you need to strategize and you need to have a plan for sure.
Yeah. See, and check it out. Like, our guy Nicholas down there, he says he hasn't been on a date all year. And that's a lot of people's position. Like, they're just in situations where they're waiting for to instinctually be called to do something. And it's like, guys, the aliens are not going to come down and be like, this is what you do. Mufasa's not going to come up and be like, this is what you do. It's like, yeah, you have a plan, like anything else. Like, when you lost weight, man, you had a plan. You weren't just like, you know what? Boom. No, that's so helpful. And before we get to the method stuff, though, I want to make sure people know where to look for the info part, because I think that's a big deal. I think people get really caught up in the weeds with the things that don't matter. And then they get it really mingled with their emotions. And now they're obsessing about things that don't matter. So before they actually interact with somebody and they've established that trust, where can they find the essential info on their date's profile? Like, where can I go to quickly kind of know, like, okay, that's the info I need to know, and then I can move on?
Yeah, that's a good question. So most of these dating sites are designed to give you the information that you need to know, the essential stuff, right away. Like if you even have such a handle in that when you're just creating like your preferences and who you want to see versus who you don't want to see, my number one recommendation is getting them on a FaceTime, getting them on a Zoom. There's no better way to find the actual answers to the questions that you want answered than to ask them, and to ask them in real life and see the way that somebody answers you. And really just being able to kind of connect on that level will tell you so much that you can't find anywhere else. Yeah. So being able to actually really connect, which a lot of people are afraid of too. And I mean, we're living in a time where I know dating is so complicated right now. I've had so many people go on FaceTime dates and actually have a really, really great time. My dog almost fell. Have a really, really great time. Yeah. And it really is just hopping on that FaceTime and asking questions and getting to know somebody that way. And you'll get a lot more answers. So I would definitely absolutely suggest that. And if you feel like you need to dig in a little bit deeper, I don't always recommend that, but I would go on LinkedIn. Like go on LinkedIn and make sure that they do what they do for a living, what they told you that they do. You can even kind of verify age a little bit if you look at like graduation dates and things like that. And if you do plan to go a little bit deeper, I would stick there.
Yeah, no, and that's the real stuff, because and the reality is if you have to do too many things to find out who they are, then the chances are you need to move on, and it's really protect yourself from that. And that's so important. So this is where you start to touch on it, and I think this is really kind of the kicker. But so where are the big mistakes when people are? So it's like there's all these sort of options that they think are the same. Like when they hear Matchmaker, some people think Matchmaker is Match.com. Like they think Match.com is a matchmaker. They think that they say you're a matchmaker, and they're like, oh, my aunt is so good at matchmaking too. And you're like, no, I'm sure she is. But anyway.
Yeah. I've lost my teeth in my dentist. Like, no.
Sorry. Oh, you do have awesome teeth. You have amazing teeth. But yeah, go ahead. What kind of mistakes are they making?
So again, a ton of my clients come to me because they're just like super burnt out from dating and they're so over online dating. And it's not because they're not trying and they're not putting the effort out there. They're just not putting their effort in the right place. So it's like, yeah, they're spinning their wheels and they're super over it. So really, I would do your research. Again, it goes back to like the job interviews and everything else. Like dating does take effort. So do your research. Go online, figure out, what type of websites you're looking for, and really, where is the best place to be. I definitely have a few recommendations. So if you are, a bold woman, I would probably try Bumble. It's an app where you're the first one to make the move. And, that's attractive to a lot of women. It's attractive to a lot of men too. Hinge is actually the most relationship minded, phone dating app is what it's been coined. And I actually know a lot of matchmakers who found their partner on Hinge. Fun fact. Also Happen is a kind of interesting one. Yeah. As we're all like walking around with our mask on, Happen is an app that connects you to missed connections. So it's like people that you're walking by all day that you wouldn't have any, especially with a mask on, like you can't smile with someone. You can't smile and like attract them that way. OkCupid, JDate, Christian Mingle are all really great free sites. Match.com, eHarmony, Silver Singles, they're all paid sites, but they're constantly like innovating and like modernizing. And obviously, if you really want that personalized touch and you want to work with someone directly and get curated matches and things like that, working with a matchmaker is 1,000% the route that you should go. We also offer so much more than that. It's really a partnership while you're dating. So being able to do like the date coaching, we also offer professional photography, closet edits and things like that. So it's like an entire, it's if you're over dating by yourself and you want, like a real personalized experience, I would definitely suggest matchmaking.
Well, and even in what you just mentioned too, it's like the personal experience is like just the cherry on top. I think just even in itself, like the idea of somebody who can help because you just mentioned a whole lot of stuff that sounds like a ton of work, and it is, because the idea of vetting people and understanding who they are and where they come from, this stuff is important. You can't bypass this to get in a relationship. So you still got to do the work, whether you do it or the matchmaker does it. And in reality, if you do it, you're going to get really burned out and you're not going to be in that wonderful place you need to be in anyway to fall in love. So that's why most people, you know, and especially the kind of people that are really looking, like the kind of people that you're looking, like singles are looking for. They're looking for quality. So you're looking for quality. Your person of quality is working. They don't have a ton of time to be dating. So they've hired a matchmaker. So let's do the math here, people, because the person you're looking for is likely could be with a matchmaker too, or, you know, whatever the case is. That's so, and I think and this is where I even keep coming with the tips, because when should I do a platform versus when do I choose to outsource? And I think that's what we just started to dive into. But like, people should know the difference, because like we were saying before, like if I'm ready for a relationship and I'm also online with Joe Schmo who just wants to hit it and quit it, how do I know when I should be doing something different versus not?
Yeah, no, I think honestly, you just got to be real with yourself. You have to be real with yourself, where you are in your life, what your schedule looks like, what you're looking for, and do your research. Go online, look up different things. The best way to make a decision is by being educated. Do your research, ask your friends. About like more than half of our clients come from somebody who used our service and was matched. So really just like putting feelers out there before you decide like, this is the route that I'm going to go and I'm going to stick to it, especially online dating. If you've been online dating forever and you're just like, nothing is happening, do something different. And whether that's having somebody take a look at your profile or just like, using a matchmaker, figuring out something different, take that step to go there, or else it's just going to be like another year that passes by with no date. And you're just going to wonder like, what could I have done then to be in a better place now?
Yes.
So,
just preach, sister. I'm so obsessed with you. I'm like, no offense,
finding love is the most important thing that you're going to do, but it's also the hardest thing. So have patience. Like, you have to have patience. And if you think that love is going to come overnight or it's going to be really, really easy, then like, you're going to come to me like very late in your life and we're going to have to start over. So do me a solid and do it now.
Guys, you've heard it. Seriously, you've heard it here. Listen to a sister. She knows what she's talking about, and she knows. And if you know what's good for you, you'll go talk to her anyway. Especially if you're in the New York, New Jersey, Philly area. Go if you want to chat with Elisa and meet her. By the way, which you should. 3dayrule.com/pool/Elisa. And if you go to that site right there, it'll send you right to my girl. And then, by the way, if you have questions about anything she just said, like, don't feel like you have to go figure it out on your own. Like, she can tell you how to do it and it won't be so stressful. So it'll be fun and cool. And obviously she's amazing. Who wouldn't sit down and talk to her always? I would, obviously. You're so amazing. I love you. Thank you for coming on and chat with all of us. I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody to chat with you too.
Are you kidding? I appreciate being on here. It was so nice to reconnect with you. I've missed you, and just like great to spread this knowledge during just like the crazy times that we're living in. I know that some of us really do feel like it's hopeless in a lot of ways when it comes to dating and just like a lot of other things. But trust me, it's all about intention, and put it out there. Put it out there. The universe works in crazy ways, and put it out there and take the steps that you need to take to get to the place of love.
I'm in it. I'm sold. Put my vote down. I'm voting for Elisa for president. Somebody put in my ballot. There you go. Oh my gosh. Well, I love you, girl. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for coming on. And again, 3dayrule.com/pool/Elisa. We'll send you to her, and we'll make sure to keep that link up for the rest of the show. And then we'll talk to you soon, girl. We'll bring you back on soon. Please do.
Yes. Love you. Thank you.
Bye, girl. Talk soon. Bye. Love. I'm amazing. I obviously don't even need to keep saying why she's so incredible. She speaks for herself, but so many key things to pull away from what she says, you guys, because it's true. And once you get your head wrapped around all that, your life is going to be so much easier. You're going to be easier on yourself. Your dates are going to be easier on you. And you're going to start to create a different energy like around you. People are going to want to be around you more. It's not going to be so hard for you to find people. People are going to come find you. And that all starts with your brain. So it's actually different ways to find different people. It's like from the inside out, right? But anyway, not to get too woo-woo and philosophy on you guys, because again, what I also adore about Elisa is that she just makes it simple to understand, right? Like, be simple. Like the exercise she gave you guys, right? 4 qualities you're looking for in someone, right? Fold the paper in half, right? Write it down, and then look on the other side. Do you mirror those things? Brilliant, right? Like, we don't even think about doing these things, but it really is a great way for you to check yourself. And I think inevitably we all want to do that because you don't want to be alone forever. And if you don't really check yourself, if you don't show up and you're like, am I being real? Then you're not going to get what you're looking for. You're just going to be a victim, and you're going to always be like, it's not for me. I'm alone. Wow. Okay. Anyway, we don't need any of that. But what can we take away from all these things? Let's think about, okay, so now that she has really put into context for us, like how to go about things, what to do when things aren't really playing out. The question I have for you, which you need to start asking yourself, is what is your specific goal? So Elisa talked a lot about strategy, which is so important. So now that you know you need to have one, what's your goal, right? So in order for you to even pick a strategy, you got to pick a goal, right? And make it specific. Don't just say, and remember, we're online, guys. So don't just say, I want to get married. You're not going to get married on the internet. Okay, you're going to meet somebody new on the internet. That's the action you're going to do. And then you're going to meet them, you're going to fall, in date, and then you're going to have a relationship, and then you're going to get engaged, and then you're going to get married. Do you see all the steps in between I just said? So your goal on the internet is not to get married. Your goal is to meet somebody new. Right, let's write this down, right? Write it down. You're at school, y'all. Okay, so that's number 1. So what's the goal? And that's going to help you figure out where you should go, right? Because if my goal is to get married and my goal is to have meaningful relationship, well, then I got a lot more depth to look for. If my goal is to get a quickie and get laid and I don't care who it is, well, then my options are a lot more open, right? Sounds very pragmatic and simple, but yet so complicated in so many ways. The other thing, and that kind of leads us into the second thought, which is like, okay, do I know what the real problem is? Do I know? Am I even aware? Okay, am I even aware of what's really stopping me? Because here's the beauty of all this. Misery likes company here, right? So do you find yourself surrounding yourself with people with the same problems you have, right? There's just something wonderful about bitching, about the same thing, right? And all and I get it. Listen, girls, you're like, there's just no good guys online. They just suck, blah, blah, blah. Get it. Guys the same. All the girls are crazy, so crazy. We're crazy. Yeah, crazy. Everybody's crazy, guys. It's a crazy thing. You're crazy. You're crazy for thinking you're gonna fall in love on an app or like without meeting this person. You guys, come on. Do you want something real? If it comes in a day, it's gonna go in a day. Yeah, we talked about that. So adjust. Let's adjust expectations. And I don't mean to come across so intense here, you guys, because it's like obviously, but what do you want? I keep hitting this microphone. What do you want? And that's what the goal question is so important. If you want something deep, you got to work. We got to work for it. You got to really understand work. It takes time. It takes foundation. It takes fabric. So what can I do to change this? All right. You're like, I get it, Elisa, get off your soapbox. What can I do to change this? Okay. So we've already mentioned some really quick, efficient things that you can do. If your issue is time, you need to be talking to a matchmaker. I just was talking to one of the best, right? 3dayrule.com/pool/Elisa. Okay. If you're a time person and you got a busy job, don't even bother. Don't bother, you guys. It's not even worth it. You spend more money on shoes and dinners than you will on than you have on your love life, and that's a problem. Okay. So, matchmaker number 1. The other thing is too, if you're like, okay, well, I want to stick with the online route. I'm not ready to like talk to someone necessarily. I just kind of want to keep exploring. Then do what Elisa just told you. Get online and research the platforms. Like she just said, if you are a bold lady, if you are a lady that's ready to rock and you just want a man that's going to meet that energy, Bumble is your place to be, right? If you're looking for more of the relationship experience, Hinge is the place to be. If you have been scammed before, right? We run dater checks on meetamatchmaker.com. That's what that's for. So if you don't want to go on the fishing hunt to figure out if Bo Schmo is actually Bo Schmo and he's not a felon and blah, 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 then run the checks, guys. Come on. These are all really cool ways that you can get the info you need to know to make your dating experience go from 0 to 10. It just very, very small adjustments. And when you really think about what you're going to do to change it, then you can come to terms with, okay, why am I here? I'm here because I'm alone. I'm tired of being alone. I'm embarrassed that I'm still alone. And I'm mad at everybody else for it. So I'm going to get over that. I'm going to get over my ego. And I'm going to go after what I know I want, the fabric of it, not the surface stuff, not the I need 6 feet tall, I need size, blah, 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 right? Go back to Elisa's exercise with the 4, right? Qualities. What is it? Why are you here? And don't judge yourself. Again, if you're here, listen, if you're here because you're horny, you want to get laid, I'm not judging you, all right? But just be real with yourself so you can set your expectations, okay? And if once you understand your expectations, then you can be communicative about those expectations, and then you can actually get what you want. But you got to be able to speak up about it, because if not, if you don't say something, how is the person you're about to fall in love with supposed to know, right? Okay. Okay. And so after that, and really, I think what says it the best is you can just hear from one of our members in terms of you're not alone, how tough it is to find somebody normal, especially when you're surrounded by bots, or especially if you didn't expect to be single. And so go ahead and take a look at from one of our members. Go ahead and check it out. You went from Queens to Brooklyn. Tell me about your love life. When's the last time you were in love?
I'm divorced. So yeah, I was in love at one point.
Yeah,
It was pretty rough, honestly. It was very unexpected when it happened on my side.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a surprise, and then finally starting to feel like myself again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I hear you. Thank you for sharing that with me. Through the computer screen, I can feel that it was rough, and I'm sorry that you went through that. There is nothing anybody can ever say that will really take that sting out of just the pain, but take it from someone who talks to singles all day, seeing people go through these things and get out on the other end. The thing that does get them through is time, and 2, taking steps to create new connections as you're doing. This is all stuff that's going to help you get to a new reality that wasn't in the past, and that will be away from the hurt that you were in, because inevitably your ex, you hindsight favor in that, okay, they weren't on the same page as you, so you're going to be with somebody who is on the same page and wants the same things, and you guys are going to live in simpatico and communication. I nerd out on this stuff, obviously. What do they do? Have you dated at all?
So I tried a few apps. I tried Facebook dating, Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. And I tried some meetup events. I found that the events were better than apps. I'm not good at apps. And then the pandemic hit. I didn't try dating after that. But now things are finally starting to look a little bit better. Maybe it's time to start back up again.
Totally. There's starting to be this way of really getting to know somebody intimately virtually first anyway, because there's that connection that it's healthier. That way, when you meet physically, it's so much more powerful. So I think that's going to continue.
Talking to somebody in person, it's easier to make a connection and that. So
yeah. Apps are fine, but the problem is they're national and they're not locally curated. You're in one area and somebody's in another area, and that doesn't make any sense. So that's why it takes people who are local to be like, hey, let's go find other local people and get together and vet and actually make a community for it to be worth your while. All right, sir. Looking forward to seeing you in the group and connecting, and happy Friday. Goodbye.
Yep, happy Friday.
All
right. Cool. Great meeting you.
You too. Bye. Good energy, just sending it out, figuring it out, just getting it through. He's a good dude. So I hope that just kind of gives you guys some idea, some understanding that, you're not alone. Everyone else is going through it, no matter how cool they seem, no matter how together they seem on Instagram. You guys know this, but they don't. Everyone is in a more similar boat than they let on. So just keep that in mind. So before we really wrap up with, what you can be doing, I have another question, our weekly poll for you guys that that I always want to know, because this is important, and we're here to serve you and get you those, get answers. But what has been your experience with online dating? And I do want to know, and I don't want the people who've had a good time or a good experience to shy away. But chances are, if you're watching this, it's been really crappy, and that's fine. But who are you? Has it been fine? Are you just somebody that you don't mind, and everyone else just needs to adjust their expectations? Or has it been sort of like, they're not bad, like meh, or your date's bad, good, they're just boring, or they're not right? Or are you freaking kidding me? Everyone I've dated online is just crazy nuts, right? So let us know. Post in the comments. Are you A, B, or C? Where are you at with online dating? We want to know so we can help serve you guys in terms of what tools and information to give you that kind of helps serve you where you're at. And then, before we wrap out, guys, what's your next step, right? We talked about a lot of different things, what you can do to just make dating better for you. Some of you guys are saying you haven't been on a date in a year. So what's your plan, right? You haven't been on a date in a year. Okay, problem. Do you want to go on one? Yes. What do you want from that? You want a relationship? Yes. What are you going to do? Nicholas Singleton, what are you going to do? Right? You're going to go to 3dayroll.com/pool/Elisa. You're going to go talk to her about what you can do to actually get yourself on a real date if you want to be on one and you haven't been on one in a while, because that's overwhelming. Or also, guys, if you've been online and you're over it and you're burned out, if you don't want to hire a matchmaker, or you don't want to talk to a matchmaker, or you want to explore more options, go to meetamatchmaker.com, and then we can help you, give you more information about that. Run those background checks, join our community. Inform yourself. If you are in this group, make sure you're doing the work. Like Elise said, this is not bad school. This is fun school. I'm not making you guys do algebra. What the hell? I'm telling you guys how to better date so you can get laid. Come on, this is fun stuff. Like, this is stuff you guys should want to know. But anyway, that is the reality. I'm giving you permission to make this school part of your weekly routine so you can just innately start to go after what it is you want. You can start spending your time in better places and not be so frustrated with online dating, because the person that you can be with in a good relationship is a lot closer than you think. You just got to know where to go, right? All right, you guys. So any questions that you have, please post in the comments. We will get to them. As always, you can see down on the ticker. If you want to meet Elisa, 3dayroll.com/pool/Elisa. Or if you want to chat with me, meetamatchmaker.com, come to our group. As always, I love you guys so much. I can't wait to see you next week. I'm your girl, Elisa Purifico, with Matchmaker Live on matchmakerreview.com. Go get them. See you guys next Wednesday. As always, stay safe.